powerful machines on the edge. Dangerous moments and driver errors sometimes lead to the most unpredictable consequences. Today, I have prepared a compilation for you of terrible and not only moments with heavy machinery when everything goes wrong. Enjoy watching. In the American state of Missouri, the driver of a multi-ton truck decided to take a shorter route by following the GPS directions and went on a detour road. The GPS system directed him on the fastest path. Trusting the navigator, the driver continued along the forest road, which eventually led him to an old narrow bridge across the river. This turned out to be a fatal mistake. As soon as the truck drove onto the bridge, the structure couldn't hold and collapsed, taking the cab and part of the cargo section with it. The bridge, despite appearing to be in good condition, was not designed for transporting heavy trucks. Its maximum load capacity was only 11,000 pounds. As a result of the collapse, the driver was unharmed, but he lost all his cargo. He noted that next time he will be much more careful in choosing his route and won't trust so blindly GPS, because this situation could have ended in tragedy, and I completely agree with him. Although you can fall through not only on a bridge but even while driving on a regular road, as happened with the hero of the next video. The internet is once again discussing a funny incident that happened some time ago in the Russian city of Yaroslavl. A part of the road collapsed into the ground along with the truck's wheels. The most interesting part, the incident occurred in an area where road repairs were being conducted, and the truck was carrying new asphalt. The video from the scene quickly spread across social media, and the road repair work was completely halted. The road workers had to call in a crane to pull out the stuck truck. While for the residents of Yaroslavl this incident was a reason to laugh, on a global scale, it's quite a predictable event. After all, the work of truck drivers is always associated with significant risks, as demonstrated by the authors of the following videos. In Rostov-on-Don, in southern Russia, a collision occurred at a controlled railway crossing between a passenger train and a Mercedes truck. The cause of the accident was that the driver of the vehicle, while trying to park during the construction of a private house, did not account for the precision needed in calculating the parking space. This is reminiscent of situations on the narrow streets of Europe, where trucks often get stuck between houses, maneuvering through tight courtyards and streets. In another situation, when you urgently need to go to a service center for diesel tuning, damage to the exhaust system may manifest as smoke in various shades of white, black, or blue. In such cases, if the problems are serious, you have to change the cylinder right on the roadside, and for that, a more powerful lever might be needed. The American logistics company Swift, shrouded in legends. They hire rookie drivers without experience, offering minimal salaries, which often leads to various incidents. The internet is literally flooded with photos and videos of incidents involving this company's trucks. Here, for example, is a case where police officers tried to stop a Swift truck. With a damaged tire, the driver either didn't notice the problem or decided to ignore it and kept driving. After 31 miles, the tire became irreparable. This is a clear example of why you should never ignore such damage. Russian drivers are known for their resourcefulness, and if a car loses a wheel, they can reach their destination even by tying it with a regular log. But our truck drivers can surprise not only with such solutions. Here's an example where a MAN truck, for some reason, was left without one of its rear wheels. But this was not a problem for the driver of the multi-ton vehicle. The incident was captured on video by one of his colleagues. The truck driver, noticing the unusual vehicle on the highway, stopped to record this video. According to him, in 30 years of experience, he had never encountered anything like this. The truck driver somehow attached a small car wheel to his vehicle, and it seems it wasn't even a full wheel, but a spare. This wheel is not designed for such a load, but surprisingly, it allowed the truck to move quite confidently to the nearest repair location. Moreover, this is not an ordinary truck. The truck was modified and equipped with a powerful diesel engine, boosted to the maximum with 3 turbochargers. Its power is about 2,400 horsepower. Trucks of this kind with a long rear overhang can create problems on the road that are often unnoticed by motorists. The longer the overhang, the more pronounced the body sway can be during turns. Many car drivers do not take this into account, leading to unpleasant situations that could have been avoided. In Russia, in the Vladimir region, an unusual accident occurred involving a vehicle transporting bodies for cremation. It collided with a car pulling a semi-trailer, which in turn crashed into a passenger car. During the collision, several coffins fell onto the roadway. Fortunately, no people were injured in the accident. Other trucks arrived at the scene of the accident to pick up and transport the coffins to their destination. If you've ever had to remove construction debris after a renovation, you probably understand that such situations don't always provoke laughter. Especially when you need to transport not only debris but also passengers or heavy items. Many drivers, trying to save money, continue transporting until they feel the vehicle is already overloaded. This is a huge mistake that can lead to vehicle damage and increase the risk of an accident. Here's a vivid example of how you can save on calling a tow truck by simply asking a friend for help. Loading, unloading, and transporting a vehicle can be quite amusing if done by real eccentrics. The photo is an obvious example of how an obsession with logistics can lead to rather unconventional solutions. Tow specialists would surely have a laugh, but now all hope rests on the driver, who must responsibly carry out their task to ensure no one gets hurt in case of a turn. Crossing the Zambezi River at the border of Botswana and Zambia is a real challenge. It's easier to cross some sea straits than to overcome this section. Every day, only 40 large trucks can make it from one bank to the other. And that's not all the problems. Because it's a border, you have to go through customs and immigration checks, and trucks sometimes wait in line for several days. And all this under the scorching sun at a temperature of over 95 degrees. In Fahrenheit and humidity, surrounded by swarms of mosquitoes, which make it unbearable for safari enthusiasts, this is definitely not the best route. You can't even walk or drive through here, let alone cross the river if there's no bridge. The author of the video, a trucker from the USA, decided to share a moment from his life and show how he has lunch at a gas station. And honestly, for $15, the portion of pasta looks very modest, with cheese, but still, in my opinion, it's too expensive for such a small portion. In the comments, maybe someone will suggest how to have a snack for less money, or at least for the same amount, but with a more filling meal. As for rest, our hardworking folks decided that despite the battle with fatigue, an afternoon rest is an integral part of the workday. And what comes of this? Fall asleep right in the truck. You can work not only with your head but also have a good rest if there's an opportunity. A truck is not just a means of transport, it's also a loyal companion for a trucker. And you need to take care of it, because on the road you can encounter the most unexpected moments. For example, sometimes you literally have to bow to your iron friend when it bows to you. And physical exercise is also part of a trucker's life. Wash up with cold water and you're ready for active movements throughout the day. Who said they don't move much and lead an unhealthy lifestyle? On the shore of the cold sea, there once stood a geologist's settlement. The time came, and people began to return home. But there was a question with the huge, vertical tank. What to do with it? It's a shame to leave it, but it's quite possible to take it with you since there's a truck. But here's the problem, there isn't a crane for loading. But our skilled workers didn't get flustered and found a solution, calculating everything precisely. In the end, everything turned out well. Here's an incident from life in the Northwestern Territories of Canada. 3 trucks carrying fuel fell through the ice of a frozen river. Fortunately, the vehicles didn't sink, they just got stuck. The drivers were unharmed, the tanks were undamaged, and not a drop of fuel got into the water. This winter road, which many people travel on, was the cause of the trouble. People were returning from the Beluga Festival to the village, Tuktoyaktuk, and the rescue team was busy with the fuel trucks. The whole day. Before they were pulled out, it was necessary to detour around the incident site via a nearby river. According to the Canadian Department of Transportation, this is the first instance in recent years where several trucks simultaneously fell through the ice on the winter road. A thorough investigation is now required to determine what went wrong. Perhaps the trucks were traveling too fast or too close to each other. When vehicles move on an icy track at excessive speed, a wave of deformation forms in front of them, compromising the ice's strength, and as a result, a truck can fall through even if the ice seems solid. A recent storm on Sakhalin became a real test for everyone who was on the way to Rybotskistan. Local fishermen, however, decided that the rains, to them, it's not a problem. The water rose to a level where the path was blocked by the sea, but for one not very experienced Kamaz driver, it was not an obstacle. Despite the wind and storm, he bravely drove along the almost completely flooded shore, overcoming the waters and reaching land with fog-up windows and a small amount of water in the cabin. This moment once again highlights why Kamaz deservedly holds the reputation as one of the most durable and reliable trucks. It's also worth noting the spectacular video published by Red Bull featuring a Kamaz driven by Dakar Rally Raid champion Edouard Nikoliv and a drifting Mazda RX-8 coupe, The filming took place at the Kirov plant in St. Petersburg. Despite the fact that the KAMAZ weighs almost 20,000 pounds and the Mazda weighs just over 2,200 pounds, the engine power of these vehicles is nearly identical, at about 1,000 horsepower. The video shows how the rope attached to the Mazda turned out to be stronger than the car itself. The KAMAZ literally tore the car in half, demonstrating its incredible strength and endurance. This is truly not a distorted photograph, but a real truck captured on one of the roads deep in Africa. What is it all about? At first glance, it seems that something strange happened to this vehicle. Perhaps it unsuccessfully tried to pass under a low bridge or got into another situation that caused its cargo section to end up in such a position. Nevertheless, the vehicle is still moving and, despite its unusual shape, will continue to do its job of transporting goods. And this moment brings back childhood memories of driving home from the flea market with your parents, having loaded new purchases into the trunk. But in reality, this could very well be a typical situation for African countries, where such vehicles are not uncommon but a usual occurrence, especially when it comes to moving house. Many vehicles in Africa are not modern, and sometimes even old and unusual cars. However, for the local residents, they remain faithful helpers in everyday life. From our point of view, such vehicles might look strange, but for those who use them, it's a perfectly normal way to reach their destination and transport necessary items. And if you look at it from another perspective, perhaps this is true happiness, having the ability to transport your load and get home. Situations where a trailer and a bridge turn out to be incompatible are not uncommon. For example, in Voronezh, Russia, one of the cargo gazelles got stuck under a bridge, creating a traffic jam and hindering movement. In the video, you can see the driver trying to overcome the obstacle, but eventually, the corner of the body hits the arch of the bridge. Further attempts to move did not succeed, and the vehicle remained stuck. Such incidents often occur because drivers do not always take into account the height of the vehicle or the infrastructure, and sometimes they simply underestimate their own dimensions. A major accident occurred near the city of Austin in the American state of Texas. The truck driver, unable to brake in time on the icy road, collided with cars that were forced to stop. The passenger cars moving behind him also couldn't slow down in time and crashed into the truck, which led to the formation of a massive pileup involving more than 100 vehicles. Due to the high speed of the traffic flow, many cars sustained serious damage. According to media reports, at least 5 people died, and the number of injured was no less than 36. Before you is truly a crazy move by Rod, which was converted into a 3-axle semi-truck. The body was taken from an American passenger sedan from the 1930s and mounted on the chassis of a long-haul truck. It turned out to be completely impractical, but incredible. When the vehicle began to be used, the body couldn't withstand a load during lifting and broke. But the hydraulic rod remained intact, demonstrating how important it is not to overload dump trucks. This case serves as a reminder of how easily a structure can be destroyed if load rules are not followed. Another amusing incident occurred at one of the truck's service centers. It was fenced off with old tires, and one truck driver, turning carelessly, caught 5 tires with his trailer at once. Someone invented a brilliant machine for polishing wheel rims. The process takes less than a minute, and the rim becomes shiny like a mirror. As for the Gazelle, it seems to have been through a lot in its life. Its owner, a trucker at heart, bought an old pickup instead of an American tractor. But that didn't become an obstacle. With parts from the junkyard, welding, and patience, he created his own cool tractor. The fun guys also organized a pool in the dump truck bed, filling it with water using a tractor bucket right in the town square. And they set off on their journey, diving into the pool right on the move. It's just a real miracle. A freight transport. Oh yes, it's true transport eccentricity. A truck with a giant sleeper cab and a rear end from a Chevrolet pickup looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. The absence of a fifth wheel coupling only adds to the mystery. It's unclear what such a vehicle could even be used for. Maybe it's some kind of DIY project for long journeys, where you can sleep comfortably, and the rear is used for transporting light cargo or for other purposes. Or it's just a creative reimagining of a regular truck, designed to amaze and attract attention. In any case, it looks pretty crazy and unusual. Transporting cargo is a complex process that requires increased caution. It's good when the driver and those around just get a little scared or are simply surprised by the absurdity of the situation. It's a different story when an accident results in human casualties. I hope you never have to encounter such a situation. And now, friends, I want to make you an interesting offer. You have a unique opportunity to become part of our team. If you have video editing skills, can voice over videos in Russian, English, and other languages, or if you write interesting scripts, we would be happy to work with you. Contact us through our Telegram bot. The link is in the description. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.